So this is Baruch here at the Tikkun Elevator Kolo, and I'm going to make for those privileged to hear these shiurim on the Shaar Kavanot here. This is a makeup shiur because this camera is very sensitive, and so if I move it up and down, it'll stop in the middle of a shiur. So that happened. So I'm saying the shiur again. I figured, well, it's Hashem's way of teaching me this a little bit better. Now, this is Drush. Hey, we're beginning a new Drush. And I could say that by looking into this Drush, I would say that there's some things that I really don't understand about it. So, what else is new? So, here he goes, a Drush Hamishi, Beseder Kriya Shemah Shalamita. So that's what we're going to talk about. B'Katsara. This is a brief understanding of that. So first, we're going to read across the top of this, and then we'll read the light print. And we'll come back and do something else. So if the order of this, what we're talking about, going to sleep, Kriya Shemah Lamita, saying Prisa Hine Taskil V'Toma Birchas Mapel. So the first thing you say, Baruch Atah Hashem Elokeinu Melech Olam HaMapel Hevle Sheina Me'enai Usnu V'La Fapai. That last part according to the Sfardim. V'achar Kach Tikva Shloshas Parshios of the Shema. Shema, V'choyo, and Vayoma, those three parshios. So let's look at the light print. Maskil, the Sadr, as Seder of Miras, Kriya Shema Shalamita. Vasa Kavanah Sheyesh, the Kabin Ba, the different Kavanos. So he said, the Chida Yivarach Birchas HaMapel. The first thing is you make a bracha on HaMapel. So then he says, V'la'acharecha Yikrach Shlosha Parshios of the Kriya Shema. Number Gimel, we'll just read number Gimel. So he says this is going on the concept of the Kavanahs of the first of Pasuk Rishon. So maybe I'll read the top part because that'll bring that in, not whatever. But I'm going to read it. The Bir Kavanahs Kriya Shema Zu Niva'ar L'Kaman Be'etzes Hashem. Amnam Roy Shagam came to Kavein Bal Commotion is Bar Kriya Shema the Shachris. So we have the same Kavanahs. What are the Kavanahs that we have over there, the Kriya Shema the Chakras? We're going to do it here too. So whatever Kavanahs that we learned in regards to Kriya Shema the Chakras, we're going to do the same things here. Klal, that is a Kavanah Klal. And the Kavanahs Kriya Shema the Chakras. So we do the same thing. Zulasi ba'osim makom apratim asher divrechem chalukim zeh b'zeh, with the exception of those places where there are differences. Now, what does that mean? So here we are down below, and he says, "Begavanas kriya shema shalamita, yeshnam kavanas emiyuchadas the kriya shema zu davka kamoshi is ba'ar l'chalon," which is what I guess we're going to get into this. Ulam milvad zu zeh. Yesh the Kavim as called Hakavanot is Ba'arvel the Gabi Kriya Shema the Shachris. Milvad Kama Makomos Shacholukim B'Kavanasehem Gamoshim Bavar L'Chalon. So there's other places. So he's going to say that. Let's look at number Daled over here in the TIV. So for Ketzit Hine B'Shlosha Shema Zavaya Lokeina Chavaya the Kriya Shema the Shachris. B'Arno Shehem Chavaya the Av. Then the next one is an Ekya de Yudin, which is Kasa. V'Ravavaya de Av again. Avara Kriya Shema Zu, but in this Kriya Shema, Zu Sarech Shetekavim El Shlosh Zavayas de Av de Yudin, so we have to have this Kavanah. Shinwei Acher, Shinwei Echo, there's a difference though. Hu de La'el Be'Kavanas Kriya Shema de Shakrid is Bar de Bechinas Havaya Elokein Havaya, the Pasuk Rishon. Lazai b'shtei tevos havaya yikavin b'kol achas shem havaya b'milui av, the Yudin. So that would be three avs. V'tevos Elokeinu, or I guess I got ahead of myself. He says, b'tevos Elokeinu yikavin shem ekya b'milui kasa, the Yudin, so it's an ekya with a milui of Yudin, which is 161. So therefore, when we get the Kriya Shema Shalamita, you're going to go start off the same idea. You also, to the middle one, which was a Kasa before, is now going to be a Havaya Da'av. Nimsa Shemekuvanim Ke'esh Losha K'Shemah's Avaya de Yudin. So here we see that we have a Kavanah of 3 different Avs at the same time. We're going to explain all of that. Yulin b'Shefa Kavanahs, and we're going to see that in the Shefa Kavanahs. Now this is a part that I've been saying the Kriat Shema. I've said it some time. I don't know. I've been saying Kriat Shema L'Lamita. I'm sure other people do. Now we're talking here about really the Kriat Shema L'Lamita according to the Rav, which is the Sephardi version, because the Ashkenaz and the Nusach Sfard have different versions. There are a lot of similarities, of course. The similarity is that the 3 Pesukim, 3 Parshas of the Kriat Shema, that's the most important part. But they have different ways of approaching it. And here we're going to talk about the bracha itself, which is called the bracha of a mapil havle sheina me'ena yusnuma lafapai. So that's where it stops for the Nusach Sfard and the Ashkenaz, but the Sfardim add on the words U'lemeir be'ishon bas ayin, which is a very unusual phrase. To shine to Malchus, which is called the Isha Bas Ayin, the Ishon Bas Ayin, the daughter of or the pupil of the eye. I don't know what that means. Now, so he says, V'taske v'toma berchus mapel. Now we're in the Shefa Kavanahs, and he has a problem here, or we have a problem. Yesh nedim beposkim, in the Shulchan Aruch, Orach Chaim, he says over there, Mishnah Berurah, that brings it down. Im nevarach berchus mapel dechila v'acher kach lomer seder Kriat Shema. So what should we do? Should we say mapel first, and then say Kriat Shema? O shetachila ya'omer kol seder Kriat Shema lebesof ya'omer berchus mapel. B'kedei lachasmek as berchus mapel l'sheina. V'hine, so he says v'hine meloshan the Rav kam. So if we look at what the Rav is talking about over here, mevuchot yesh lahakdim berchus mapel. So the first thing is the Rav holds that you say hamapel and then you say Kriat Shema. V'chein sidra b'sidra Rishash v'sidra Kol Yaakov v'Rabbi Asher Rav Asher. Amda v'sidra Rab Shavsi. Sidra loma berchus mapel achar Kriat Shema. So we have a reason for saying that, because amapel should be said right before sleep. Then he says, so when we call to a person who lies down to sleep after chatzos, if we should say berchos hamapel after chatzos, Bebercha Yosef, he said, Hevi b'shem sefer lach metoda, the yesh misha kosev the ein laomer achar chatzos, that you shouldn't say hamapel after chatzos. Doesn't have a reason exactly yet. But it's not correct. You do say it after chatzos. He says the cause of the lahatzdik das yesh misha omer halal. So according to those who say that you don't say it. They hold like this. The reason why you don't say it is because the mapel refers to the dormita. The dormita, v'kevan shal dormita na'aseh rak ad chatzos halayla, that's only made until chatzos halayla. And I'm going to try to move this a little bit. So he says, im kain. So if that's the case, then it has to go with the dormita, which the dormita takes place earlier, it has to take place in the early part of it, but really should be before midnight. You do have to say the Kriat Shema, even though that it's not the time of going to sleep anymore. So this is what you're working for, to bring it, because ultimately, when you say the Kriat Shema, you're bringing Mochin into Zun, the Tzorach HaZivav, HaNaseh B'chatzas Halayla or Haboker, because there's a Yichud that takes place during the latter part, half of the night. The Af Shehiskil Kibar HaZivav B'chatzos, even though that we know that the Zivav begins, he says it begins at Chatzos, Other places it means the idea that it is mamish at itself, but he says it begins at itself, mikal makom hu nimsha, but even if it begins then, it considers ad boker. So if that's the case, it should be that you should be able to get in and say Kriya Shema anytime. Od dana poskim, so therefore the poskim hold like this: im lomer birchas hamacha b'shem b'malchus alo. Whether or not you should say Baruch atah Hashem Elokeinu Melech Olam like that, Hashem Melech Elokeinu Melech Olam. Alo, I shouldn't say it. Now, why not? V'kaf achayim he says masik diyesh le'omer b'shem b'malchus, that he says, he concludes over there that you should in fact say it with the Shem b'malchus. Mekal makom kosav the biyamin shem Rosh Hashanah ad Shmini Atzeres, v'heim b'mechas Svirach v'lei Shabbos, yivar kosecha below Shem b'malchus. You can make that bracha, but you don't use Shem b'malchus. So he says, I don't know why. So he says, Atam b'zecha yi'un the Kavanah Drush Vav. So we have to go through this drush, which I think it's got more tricks and turns in it. Umasik de bekal makam avarak b'yamim halaluch b'shem b'malchus aim aznichim also, so we don't reject it. So he says, Masik de bekal makam, when you use the shem b'malchus, it's still okay. It's not the best. It probably shouldn't say it. So we don't have the reason for that yet. Because of Mukubalim, in the Divrei Shalom, he said, how they did things in the original Kabbalah Yeshiva there, it's Israel, Beis Kale. Beis El, I guess they call it Beis El. V'yud v'yesh omrim, Shari Rachmim, I got that wrong, Os Yud v'yud Aleph. Then in Shari Rachmim Chelik Beis, the Haneir ad la'achra tzos. Let's say you were up, which happens in this wintertime particularly, past the tzos. A minhag lomer kriya shema shalamita. So the minhag there is to learn the kriya shema shalamita. The Kavanah b'sam the tzos, as close as you can get to tzos. The la'achra tzos omrim say the birchos hashachar. Then after tzos you say the morning brachos. The tikkum tzos you say tikkum tzos. The long name say the limud. And then you have a Seder of Limud then. V'lachar becomes Shochvim Lisham Im Yirtzo. Then after that you lay down to sleep if you want to. V'kasa b'kaf achayim sha'osim kain. So that's a person like this. Let me read it again. He says, Lomer, Dechaneir ad la'achar tzos. You've been up all night. And minchag lomer kriya shema shalamida b'kaf v'lesecha b'sam alachat tzos. V'la'achar tzos omrim seder birchos hashachar v'tikan tzos v'lomdim seder limud v'la'achar becomes shochvin lisham im yirtza. So you were up after tzos, and then you wind up continuing on with the seder of the night and learning, and then they go back to sleep again. V'kasa b'kaf achayim she'osim kain. You stay up after tzos. Yomer as birchos hamapel, you say birchos hamacha below shem u'malchus, because at that time you don't use the shem u'malchus. Boy, I'm sorry about this. Uve'inyan masha kasvach ha'makubalim. So in terms of what the Gebalim wrote, lomer birchos hashachar achar atzos, where they say birchos hashachar achar atzos, gam im lo yashin ben time, even if you didn't sleep. So that's going to be later on in the Miluyim, which we learned a long time ago. Sometime in the wintertime, sometime in the wintertime. This year, last year, I don't know. But we learned it once before. Anyway, that's the ideas over here. So, getting into it more deeply.